Hey everyone, and welcome to Wire Uncut, our bi-weekly coffee talk where we chat with some of the people behind Europe's most exciting tech alternatives. Today, my guest is Andy Piper, Head of Communication at Mastodon, an alternative social media platform. Hi, Andy, and welcome.
Thanks, Alexandra. Hi, great to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, very happy to have you here. I mean, I've been following Mastodon for a while, and I have to say I really love what, you stand for. Mastodon is standing for your mission and vision, the brand, the little elephant. I just love it, the whole thing.
Just here, I've got my little one here. I
Yeah,
have a
so
plushie.
cute.
I have a plushie as well. So yeah, yeah.
So great. So yeah, before we go into the details, can you give us a short introduction? Who is Andy Piper and what led you to Mastodon?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Well, I guess a technologist. I'm a techie. I'm interested in tech. I also like to make things with tech. So I kind of brand myself as a maker, and I do a lot of public speaking. I'm really interested in the intersection between people and society and open source software in particular. I think there's a lot of strength in collaborating together as people to make cool things. And my background is I used to work at companies like IBM and VMware. I spent a number of years working for this company called Twitter, which unfortunately went a bit wrong when somebody bought it. And I didn't expect to then come to Mastodon to work on something that looks a little bit similar to Twitter, but I do care about open source. I care about people. I am excited about the platform, so I'm excited about the opportunity, and that is great. I'm really happy to be working here with a small team of people who are really focused on building something good for people and not for corporations. So, yeah, that's how I'm here, I guess.
Yes, thank you so much. Can you give us some sort of elevator pitch about Mastodon? Who are your users and how it is just different?
Yeah, so Mastodon is a social platform that lets you connect with your friends, with things that interest you. It's open. We envision it being a safe network that encourages people to connect. And so I think that's quite different. So we are not venture capital backed. We are not taking investment. We are backed by donors and the people who use the platform. We're very grateful for that. And we don't have advertising. So we don't have anything that encourages us to capture your attention as a user. We don't need to own all of your time on the internet and to force content at you. So we don't have an algorithm that is trying to beg you to stay so that we can sell you stuff. It's really a platform that is all about authentic connections between people. So yeah, it's kind of fairly similar to other social networks that you might see, but it's also decentralized so that there isn't just one Mastodon that is run by a big corporation with no kind of face or identity. Anybody can run their own piece of Mastodon, and wherever you are in the network, you can still connect with other people. And it's also part of a bigger network called the Fediverse, which means that there's other stuff you can connect with other than just text updates. You can connect with photo sharing and video, book reading, 3D printing networks. You can use and share between all of them, which is very cool.
Yes, thank you so much for that. There are so many things I would like to dig in deeper. You have mentioned, the fact that you are non-profit, for example. You've mentioned also the Fediverse. So, let's go first with the Fediverse. Can you give us an introduction what it is?
Yeah, so the Fediverse is a set of interoperable networks and applications where, as I said, you can follow and interact with people and content really on your own terms. So they all use, technically, they all use the same protocol. It doesn't really matter to you as a user, but they all work together so that my user on Mastodon can photos on comment on photos on PixelFed or videos on PeerTube, which are some other applications that are all part of this network. And it's pretty cool because they're all decentralized and each app can focus on what it's good at and be a good app for that thing. So for example, there's a really nice live streaming service called Owncast that like the word, like it sounds. You can run your own and be your own kind of Twitch, if you like, or YouTube for streaming, but I can follow you there from my Mastodon account. So I think it's a really fun and interesting and different way of doing social. Nobody's trying to own it. Everybody's just trying to share this social space together.
Yeah, that's perfect. You have mentioned like I think different alternatives to already existing big platforms. This is also like a great way to actually maybe guide our conversation towards, digital sovereignty, the European alternatives versus the big techs. So what's your point of view? What's your take on that?
So I've been working in tech for 20 plus years, and this may sound a bit random. My degree's in history, and I'm really interested in how the world has evolved. And we've gone through this huge process in the last 100 years of globalization, better connectedness between people. We've learned a lot. We've had some big arguments as a society in the last 100 years, but we've come through most of them, and we've grown globally. But what's actually happened economically and technically is a lot of the internet, which is this decentralized network, has ended up hosted in one place, which is, broadly speaking, America. There's a big chunk of it in China as well. And that's not how the world is, right? We've all got our own countries, we've all got our own places, we've all got our own points of view and ways of doing business, ways of interacting. And so it doesn't really make sense for it to be quite so centralized in one place, for a decentralized network like the internet. One of the reasons the internet and the web is so exciting is that anybody can host their own content, share it, we can connect with one another between countries in an instant. And it doesn't make sense for it all to be in one place, where if something goes down or if some rules change, a huge chunk of knowledge goes away. So I really believe very strongly that Europe as a whole and countries in Europe should have a solid set of digital foundations that let it and them operate independently. Europe is a federation of countries, and we have independent ways of doing things as well as cooperating as well. So I think there's a lot to be said for building on that economic and political structure in the tech sense as well, with this digital sovereignty.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. Do you have in mind another European tech company that you really admire, or you actually even work with, you had projects with together?
So I'm not going to talk about a company. What I'm going to talk about is some initiatives. So there's a lot of initiatives right now in this space around digital sovereignty and helping people to realize that there are alternatives to what they've become used to, right? And so there's a couple of really exciting ones. In fact, a number of them. A couple that we've worked with a lot in the last 6 months. In the Netherlands, there's one called Make Social Social Again. And in Germany, there's one called Save Social. And they're both talking about making people realize that there are better solutions that respect the users, respect their privacy, respect the local laws, and enable you to be social. So we think very often when we say social, we immediately say network or media. Well, what are they? What's social media? Social media was a label that was invented because we just felt more comfortable talking about the media. But actually what the media is all of this content that ultimately is trying to suck you in and sell to you. If you follow people if you're on a social platform, when was the last time you saw your friends posting something? You quite often see brands posting, and you quite often see other content being pushed at you through the algorithm. But increasingly, you don't see so much of your friends, and that's why you joined, to be social. Right? Humans are social.
True.
So I really think that Save Social, Make Social Social Again, and other campaigns around Europe that are encouraging people to think differently, look at local alternatives, look at also global alternatives. I mean, Mastodon may be from Europe, but it's not just European. It's a global thing. Anybody can run bits of Mastodon. So I love the folks from those two initiatives and those campaigns. And there are others around Europe as well that we have worked really well with in the last 6 months.
Yeah, perfect. This is also, circles back to something that comes always up with these discussions that I've been having in Wire Uncut, also with other organizations, is that sometimes, people don't even know about the existence of alternatives. What do you think why users still hesitate to switch from, like mainstream platforms to an alternative, like the ones that you just mentioned, or Mastodon?
Yeah, look, I think it's very easy to justify not making a change in our minds. I think, the so-called status quo. I think, again, maybe it's because my background is more kind of sociology, history. As I think about things, I think about how we are as people, and humans really don't like change. And I think probably lots of organisms don't like change because it makes us feel uncomfortable. We have to learn something new. Once you feel settled into a thing, you get that comfort. You feel like you're in a groove. But over time we become lazy, and it kind of becomes less of a groove and more of like being in a rut. In English we say this. We're kind of stuck in our ways, stuck in this path. And I think that's the core of it, why it's easy not to change. We forget that to learn that thing we were comfortable with before took us some time. So we've gone through that discomfort, we got into a comfortable place, and then we got bored and never really paid attention anymore. But if we don't try a new thing, we don't learn, we don't grow, right? So I think actually, if you look at it more positively, it's easy to justify why we don't want to change, but when we do change, we learn something new, we learn something exciting, we broaden our minds, we broaden our thinking. And another thing that's easy to do is be really negative about that place that you're in right now. Say, oh, you shouldn't use big tech because all of these bad things, and that's just negative. And people then become like very defensive. Like, I've built my life there. I've got all my stuff there. You can't tell me to change. People don't like being told what to do. So I think what we need to do is say, we get that, right? We understand that. We've been there as well, right? There's some really cool stuff over here. When you're ready, come try it out, right? Different ways of thinking, things that have come from our European perspective of understanding local cultures, local expectations around privacy, around freedom of expression. And I think that if we talk about that great stuff that you can get by being in a new place, learning some new things, that is a way to encourage people to think differently.
And then to try out something new. That's like, yeah, I think it's like how to change the mindset actually. And it will take time. This is also something that we always come to a conclusion that to change the mindset, it's always about timing. It's always that it's gonna be slow, it's gonna be in baby steps. And people can also like they don't have to, leave everything as they are. Like they don't have to change for something totally new.
Mm-hmm.
They can just, try it out first and then add it on top of what they already have and then slowly go and see how it is. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I actually, it can be scary to learn new things, but I think I wouldn't say I'm addicted to learning new things, but I'm always trying new things because unless you do that, you don't find that next big thing that's going to become really exciting. So in my past life, if I'm thinking back sort of 15 years to when I was at IBM, and a lot of the platforms we use today were kind of just emerging. And people forget that if you go back before Twitter, there were lots of these little social networks that were all emerging at the same time that were trying to do similar things, or they were learning from Twitter. And a lot of them went away, and one or two of them became big. Unless you have people that are prepared to try stuff, learn about things, suggest improvements, help others to feel comfortable, we don't grow, right? We just stay stuck in this big kind of cold box. We just
Yeah,
end up in this.
absolutely.
And I think also that a danger of us becoming complacent, perhaps lazy about what we're consuming, is that it gives other people a way to influence us in ways that we don't realize. And I think that's dangerous. So I would love to encourage everybody to try new things, learn new things, just see what works. It's always
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to then go back to one of the first topics that you also mentioned, Mastodon being a non-profit organization. Can you talk a little bit more about that aspect?
Yeah, so Mastodon started as and is an open source project, and it wasn't intended to be a commercial thing that does what a lot of the big tech companies have done, which is to make money from the users. So at a high level, what we're doing is we're creating a non-profit entity so that people can feel assured that that's the truth. That's what we aim for. That's our goal. We're not in this to mine your data, your attention. We are in this to build something that enables you to be yourself, connect with what you're interested in. You can feel secure that we're not making money from this. So the non-profit, which we're still in the process of establishing this year, we announced it in January that we're going to make sure that the trademarks and ownership are in a foundation. We want to really make a clear declaration of intent so that people can see that we're different from other platforms that they may have used and been familiar with in the past that are, in our view, being disrespectful or using the user's data in ways that is not okay. We want to just really make that declaration of intent to be different. It should not make any difference to how you as a user use Mastodon, except that you can feel happier that we are doing this with our users in mind. We want to create something that is genuinely useful and that respects user rights and privacy.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for highlighting this. Now I will ask you the funny question that I ask to everyone. If Mastodon were a European city, which one would it be and why?
Now, I will be honest. I looked at this question. I knew this was coming, and I asked the team yesterday, and we had a little bit of a chat. And we're all over Europe. Our team members are in different places, and of course, everybody has their favorites.
Of course.
So I'm going to answer, and I'm going to say Amsterdam. And the reason is because Mastodon is all about interconnectedness and diversity. And in Amsterdam, you've got all these different neighborhoods connected by canals, and you can cross between them very easily. It's just like how you've got these different communities in Mastodon. So you've got artists, you've got musicians, you've got tech people, you've got LGBTQ people, all these different spaces, and people interact very openly and well and keep their own vibe. And I think also there's been a kind of an element of resisting corporate takeover in Amsterdam. I visited Amsterdam. I haven't lived there myself. But also it's very human scale. You know, you can easily walk between areas. It's not like some kind of distant big metropolis. And also Mastodon has its own Amsterdam has its own Mastodon instance, which is very cool. And several places in the Netherlands do. I've spent some time there this year at events and visiting people. So yeah, I'm going to say Amsterdam.
To wrap up our conversation, is there anything else you would like to highlight or mention about Mastodon that, you know, users or listeners just don't know?
I think really just to highlight that it's a really small team, right? There's maybe 10 of us, both engineering people. We've got some folks like myself that do more communications, explaining, talking to the media and government organizations. And there's millions of users, and there are many, many Mastodon instances. So, you know, we take the fact that we're a non-profit seriously, but also, you know, please, if you can support us, we'd appreciate that, because we are a small team. I think we kind of, if you like, punch above our weight for our size. You know, we've built the network is big and healthy and strong and can grow if people get involved. And we really appreciate folks that choose to support us financially as well. So not lots of people don't realize that there's a team of people that work on this, and just really wanted to mention that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It was very lovely to have you with us at Wire Uncut. Super happy.
I really appreciate what you're doing to highlight different organizations here around Europe, and the One Click Away campaign as well. Really appreciate it. So thank you for the time, Alexandra.
Thank you.